Flanagan from BlueHub here. So in this tutorial, we're just going to run through how to gather requirements, and this is a specific template for inventory, stock control, manufacturing, those types of systems, because when we're speaking to prospects or clients who are thinking about moving from another system to a system that we might implement, they come with a couple of problems they want solving, but don't think about the holistic view of what they actually need for the system to be successful and work for them. So this is an initial process that you can get your team to do with you and run through. So we're going to talk a little bit about the process around it, and then the document that you fill in, and it's really just to get you all on the same page so you all understand what's important and what's the priority for you to concentrate on when selecting a new system. So I'm going to get straight into it, talk through. I'm going to try and beat a 10-minute overview of it, and you can go and download this document in Word format so you can take yourselves through it. So it's a requirements gathering template. So table of contents, I'm going to skim over that part. How to complete. So again, I'm not going to read this word for word, but this is going to talk through the key areas of identifying the stakeholders, organise a group meeting, send out the document to be completed individually before the meeting, collate all the input, refine and agree the document, prioritise the requirements, and then send out the document for review and confirmation. So the way this is really working is it's for you internally as a team, before you start speaking to vendors or consultants, to have an idea of what you need in the first instance. So identify the stakeholders. You should really be looking at people who are going to be involved in reviewing the current processes, reviewing the current system. So it will be people who will be using it, but maybe also people who are responsible for that team or that department, because what you don't want is 20 or 30 people. I feel a good number of this is really like a 3 to 6 or 7. So you need to choose people who are aware of what the current problems are, also what the current processes and systems do and don't do. So that's how I would approach it, really. So you look at sort of a 3 to 7 number. If you're starting to get in the 15s and 20s and you get everybody's too penitent, it's too much. And actually they might come from a very specific area of a process or system, which is just too low level at this point in time. Okay. So you identify the stakeholders, you organise a group meeting. So what you should be doing is getting those 3 to 7 people in a room for a couple of hours to discuss what the requirements are. And it's for people to bring up all of their individual requirements, issues, process concerns, system concerns, all of those issues during that group meeting. So you need to get a date, time and location for the meeting, invite the relevant stakeholders, confirm the attendance, prepare the materials and the tools. So a document, you might have a flip chart, you might have some sticky notes, you might have some pens, just to get everybody's notes down and get something clear. Assign roles and responsibilities, so you might have somebody to facilitate it, bring all the information together. Somebody's going to be a timekeeper to make sure you keep on track and you move things through. With these things, they can grow arms and legs, so you mustn't get involved in different tangents. You should try and keep to the core processes that you want to talk about and give them a time slot as you run through. Send a reminder and agenda to the participants before the meeting. Now, this is a key point. What you don't want people doing is turning up with their own format of how they've captured things. You want people to try and think the same and have the same input as what's going to be output. So you must send something out to them. In this particular scenario, we call it the system requirement gathering document. You should send it out to them and then get an overview of what they need to fill in. I'll show you the system requirement document and this will bring this all to life. So, and then we're going to collate all the input. So you bring everyone's input into one document for each of the different areas, and then you can start to run through those and you can start to think about what's important, what's priority, and what's maybe a nice to have in the grand scheme of things. So you're going to collate all the input. I'm not going to read this word for word. And then you need to go through that collated document with everybody's requirements and understand what everyone wants, and also agree the priorities and the importance of each of those. So yeah, we need to prioritise those requirements. So what it could be is, for example, if there's a lot of you involved, or there's a lot to discuss, or you haven't changed systems for a number of years or decades in some instances, this might take a few meetings, so don't always try and do it. It might be 1-2 hour meeting with a follow-up, so the first meeting might be a case of collating everything and agreeing what's important, and then there might be a second meeting where you prioritise. Now you've got this list of what's important, so don't always try and chew it in one. You might need to take that across a couple or 3 sessions in essence when you're doing that, and this is just to get your requirements together. There's different ways of prioritising, which I've put some different ways. You can get super complex about it. For us to get the ball rolling, we just have it's a must-have or a nice-to-have, which is a very simple way of agreeing what your priorities are as you run through that. And then you send out the document for review and confirmation to check that you've captured everything correctly. So let's have a look at this document. At this point, when you've got this document and you've got everyone's information on it, you've got the agreed priorities, the importance correct, and all of those requirements documented, you have something then when you can go and speak to people about, this is what we're looking for, these are our must-haves, these are our nice-to-haves, and then you're having a much more informed discussion with a consultant, a vendor, whoever, about what you actually need, as opposed to turning up with, I've got these 2 or 3 issues I need solving, but I don't actually know what the rest of my requirements are, because what happens then is you get the 2 or 3 issues solved up front, and then all of a sudden all these other requirements pop out as you start to implement the software and the solution. So this is a worthwhile, might take a bit of time, might feel like it's a lot of effort, but actually it will negate a lot of problems further down the line. So this is in Word format, so you can add other areas that are important to you. So you have some general, we've put some together, so we've got general, security, CRM, client relationship management system, sales, purchasing, inventory, warehouse management, production, assembly, reporting, automation, POS, point of sale, B2B, accounting, integrations, miscellaneous. You can add as many as you want to this as you go through it, okay? So this just gives you a start off of 10. So what you start to do is you start to go through these. So let's say you want lead and opportunity management. You would say, yep, that is a must-have in here, and any notes. What does that mean to you? Maybe just a bit more of a description around what you want from lead and opportunity management and get that agreed, and you'd put a priority of a must-have or a nice-to-have. So if you want sales forecasting or commission management, you'd put that as a must-have or a nice-to-have. And if it's not applicable, so we've got production and assembly in here, that level, if you work with finished goods and you don't do assembly or manufacturing, then you don't need that. You can just put an NA, not applicable against those as you go through it and reporting. But essentially it's a start to get you thinking about everything that you need, so you've then got a priority list as you go through that. So you would send this document out, just to reiterate the process, you would send this document out to everyone's involved in the meeting before the meeting, get them to complete it and send it you back. Once you've got that sent back, you collect everything that everybody wants to see and is putting together, so everybody gets to see on that meeting, they see their own requirements, and then you go through them to say, what's the priority of this? Really also get rid of any duplicates as you're going through that. Is a priority must have or is it nice to have? And the notes around what the requirement is. Now at the end of this process, once you've then collated it, agreed your priorities, you've got a document. This document is a high level requirements document which you can then speak to people about and say, this is what we're looking for as a business. This is what we see right now. This is what we're looking for. Now that means that when you're speaking to anybody, whether it's a vendor, whether it's consultants like us, that you've got a common ground which you're all talking about. If it's all verbalised, we want X, Y and Z, that can all get lost. Whereas if you've got a document, it really becomes a reference document for both parties, or if there's more than 2 parties, 3, 4, 5 parties as to what we're looking for. So I think that's going to be the benefit of doing this, but it is no small feat to get it done, and it does take a little bit of time, but the benefits are you get less surprises of requirements further down the line. So if you only talk about the problems to consultants or vendors or people who can help you, then the real issue at that point is these things that aren't spoken about and assumed, they come up further down the solution process, and it's like we can't actually cater for that. And if it's a must-have feature or a must-have process and requirement, then ultimately you really can't, there's nothing you can do. It's a surprise, and everybody got to start with getting workarounds in place. So I would really advocate doing this as your first step. Now there's 2 ways. If you're not on a system yet and you're looking for a system, this works. If you're on a system and it's been for decades and you're maybe moving from a server-based system to a SaaS-based, internet-based system, this will work. If you've been on a system for even 2 or 3 years, which is SaaS-based and modern, your world might have changed and the system might have changed. And it's worthwhile doing it again to go through it to say, hey, what do we need to refresh? Is there new features on the current system we're doing that they're doing that we could actually now make use of, which we couldn't have a couple of years ago? Or actually, we've had a couple of clients where manufacturers become a newer part to the business or assembling, and actually their current system doesn't cope with that. So then you know. So essentially, I would advocate doing this whether you're just starting out, whether you're moving from a system you've had for decades or years and want to move across, or you've been in a system a couple of years and you're getting concerned that the initial problems have been solved, but now you're getting these requirements that are coming out the woodwork that you need going forward. Again, you can really anchor back to this type of process and this type of activity, which will get you the output. So there's going to be a link to go and download this. Go and get it. Make sure you follow the process and get people to follow it individually, then collate it, then review it, then get your priorities, and then baseline the document so you've got something to move forward. I think you'll find it super useful as you're going through that world. Right, that's enough from me. My name's Matt Flanagan from BlueHub. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want to contact us, or we're at bluehub.co.uk if you need us. You'll have a link to go and download this. If there's any questions, queries, please get in touch. Enjoy a very worthwhile activity. Cheers now.